Hi, everybody. It is day 323. The high in my area is 41 degrees, so we're sticking with the teal. I didn't think I was going to use the teal that much towards the end of the year, but I guess I need to go buy some more because it seems like we're going to be using the teal for a while. For the next row, we're going to do one double crochet in the first space, three double crochets in every other space all the way down to the end, and we're going to end with nope, two double crochets and a chain three space. I hope everyone has a wonderful Saturday. I didn't even turn on my light today because I had the sun coming in. So hopefully it's bright enough for you guys. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this video.
Since Thanksgiving is coming up in the US, I thought it would be a good time to read some Reddit stories around Thanksgiving. I'll read like two or three this week, so here's the first one. Am I the butthole for canceling the plans for Thanksgiving after my parents called my brother's baby their first grandchild? I, 32 female, have been with my wife Ava, 34 female, for 8 years now, but we've been married for 5. She was a single mom of 3 kids when we started dating. She had 2 daughters, now 10 and 12, and a son, now 16. I've watched these kids grow up. I've read the bedtime stories, done bath time, the first days of school, PTA meetings, all of it. I very much consider them to be my kids, and they've been calling me mom for almost 6 years now. My brother Ivan, 28 male, just had a baby girl with his fiancee Sarah, 27 female. I love my niece, and my kids adore their cousin. My kids have been the only grandchildren on my side of the family since Ava and I got together, and there's never been a moment where the kids and my wife were treated like they didn't belong. My brother is their uncle, my mom and dad are their nana and pop. The kids see my family as their family, and I always thought that my family felt the same way about them. The kids and I were over at my brother's house just hanging out, and my parents ended up dropping by with gifts for my niece. Ivan laughed when they saw the toys and told our mom and dad that they were going to end up spoiling her rotten. My mom said since my niece is their first grandchild, of course, they have to spoil her. My kids were sitting in the living room with all of us, and my youngest daughter looked hurt when she realized what my mother said. My son and my 12-year-old didn't fully react to it, but I could tell it bothered the both of them too. Sarah spoke up and said, "Oh, you mean first grandbaby, not first grandchild." My dad shook his head and replied that my niece was their first grandchild. I didn't want my kids to keep sitting there and listening to that, so I handed my son my keys and told him to wait in the car with his sisters. When they were gone, I asked my parents why they'd say that to my kids. That why they say that my kids weren't their grandchildren. And my mom said they couldn't be their grandchildren because they weren't really my children. My wife and I were going to be hosting Thanksgiving at our house this year. But I told my parents that if they didn't view my kids as their family, then they could just host a meal at their own house with their real family while I spent the holiday with mine. I left before they could say anything else to me, and my wife and I reiterated to the children that they always will be my kids and I will always be their other mom regardless of our DNA. My brother is pissed at me now because he thinks I reacted too harshly and that I should try to see where my parents are coming from. My mom texts saying that she and my dad love the kids, but they still aren't their grandchildren. And she hopes that we can come to understand that because she doesn't want this to ruin my niece's first Thanksgiving. I haven't replied back. I meant what I said, but I'm worried that maybe I'm reacting too harshly. ETA info. I adopted all three of the kids about 4 years ago, so they aren't just my parents' step grandchildren. Even if I hadn't legally adopted them, they'd still be my kids in my eyes. My wife's parents don't have a relationship with the kids. When my wife came out, they pretty much stopped speaking with her entirely. Their bio dad is not involved, and neither is his family. He lost his rights to the children before Ava and I started dating. The 10-year-old has never met him. The 12-year-old doesn't remember him, and the 16-year-old wants nothing to do with him. My parents wanted the kids to call them Nana and Pop. I didn't make the kids start calling them that. Oh gosh. So that's the story. Let's read some reactions. The first one says, not the butthole. Sister in law Sarah is a rock star. She totally tried to save the fumble. Your parents should have picked up on that and caught that pass and saved the situation. Instead, they doubled down and argued the point. That's extremely unfortunate, and I'm sorry. Let's see another. Someone, oh, they're replying to that first comment. I'm trying to get another new comment. It says, not the butthole. That was really a mess up thing your parents to think, let alone say in front of your kids. You were completely justified in your reaction. If it were me, I don't know if it is something that I could have fixed with a simple, that could be fixed with a simple apology. Someone else's response said, I would honestly just text them back and be like, you two are so disappointing. These are my children. They thought of you as their grandparents and you essentially spit in their faces. Maybe it never occurred to you to care how hurtful it would be to them to hear you say that, but they're devastated. And I can't believe someone who says they love them would intentionally make them feel that way. Niece is not cognizant of Thanksgiving yet, so our absence can't ruin it for your only grandchild. And I need time to consider if I can risk exposing my children to that kind of cruelty ever again. I don't really see why you'd be upset getting to focus all of your holiday energy on the only child in this family who counts. So don't worry about us not being there. Mhm. And then let's see another reaction. There are a lot of comments, guys. So another one. I was the child who was told I wasn't really family once someone biological came along. It's been nearly 20 years since that moment, and I still remember it as if it was a second ago. Not the butthole. This one says, not the butthole. Your parents seem to be fine letting your kids consider them grandparents for years. Nothing should change just because someone has squirted out a baby they share DNA with. That means this whole time they'll really only consider your kids some kind of twisted consolation prize. And as if that wasn't heartbreaking enough, they decide it's fine to say this with your children in the room? That's absolutely vile. And even if they apologize and backpedal, I think twice about the level of contact and intimacy they're allowed with your children. You did exactly the right thing, and don't let anyone lead you to believe otherwise. Okay, we'll find two more comments and then we'll be done. Okay, so this one says not the butthole, and I'm boggled that they doubled down on it. And the audacity to say that they don't want it to ruin the new baby's first Thanksgiving. New babies are like potted plants at this stage. They don't care about Thanksgiving. Your parents legitimately ruined the thankful holiday for kids who can and do remember now. Hold the line and protect your family. Your parents and brothers are being beyond hurtful and they don't seem to care. Okay, this is a long one, so we'll read this one last, I guess. Not the butthole. Your parents essentially use your children as their stand in grandchildren until the baby came. If your brother didn't have a kid, they would still be the grandparents they were. They literally said that in front of your kids, basically telling them that their time is over. Your brother, as a parent himself, who has a relationship with your kids, is now basking in the love and attention your parents are showing him. I would ask your brother how he would feel if your wife and kids refused to call him uncle or his kid's cousin and said they were not a part of their family and made sure his kid heard it. How could he support any child being treated like this as a parent? Your parents literally said that they aren't concerned about your feelings or your kids' feelings, only the baby niece's Thanksgiving. Tell your mom that the fact that she is more concerned about your niece's first Thanksgiving than making things right with you and your kids whose feelings she hurt is the exact reason why she isn't invited anymore. And it's also the reason why you won't have your kids around her or any one of them again. That they won't grow up being told and shown that they are not a part of the family. So, guys, that is the story. You can let me know what you think in the comments. I don't think she's the butthole either. But yeah, I hope you enjoy, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this video.